research and development capacity in pharmaceutical industry in India is 1/10 of the costs of producing drugs in the United States. And they are producing the world-class scientists in chemistry and pharmaceutical industry, which are as good as the United States but cost 1/10. And we do not have even one single company which is certified by FDA in Pakistan. So the gap between even Pakistan and Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, is widening. Bangladesh was way behind Pakistan in exports. And last year, their textile exports, without producing one single bale of cotton, were $10 billion, which is exactly the same as we produced this year. So the point I'm trying to make is that you don't need natural resources. You don't need the crops to add value to them. It is how enterprising you are, how enabled your businessmen are, and how stable your macroeconomic situation and political situation are. If you try to incorporate these three into a recipe, I can assure you that investment will flow into the country. You don't need to do anything else. What is it that is driving a potential investor, whether it is a Pakistani investor or it is a foreign investor? It is the security of capital. That is, capital is secure, that it cannot be expropriated on whimsical grounds by any government. Number two, it has an adequate rate of return compared to the opportunity cost of employing the same capital somewhere else, whether within the country or outside the country. So you have to make sure that you have adequate rate of return. And third, the capacity to repatriate the dividends, the profits, the royalties, the technical fees, and capital when needed. If they are assured about these three things, then investment will take place. What does that each one of them means? One, security means that the political climate and the macroeconomic situation are such that the investor has a confidence that there will not be any extrajudicial measures. The contracts will be honored and intellectual property rights will be protected. That is what the security is. When you're talking about the adequate rate of return, you're talking about the fact that your exchange rate is stable, so that you do not earn 60 rupees and then all of a sudden the dollar appreciates to 80 rupees and the same dollar now is become a meaningless for you because your rate of return in the dollar terms has declined. Secondly, there are opportunities where there is a market demand for the goods and services you are producing. If the economy is slacking, it is growing by 2 or 2.5%, then the market demand is depressed. And there are no opportunities for making adequate rate of return because the installed capacity itself is not being utilized. And the third point is, what is the foreign direct enabling environment? And that, I think, to me is very important. And I give you one example to illustrate how you build the confidence. In 2000 January, I had just joined in December, we had only $300 million of liquid foreign exchange reserves. And HUPCO, which was having a dispute with the government of Pakistan, had to make a repatriation of $80 million to pay their debt servicing obligations in abroad. And they came to me and they said, we need this money to be paid back. And my staff said, sir, they have a dispute with the government of Pakistan, so we are quite justified in delaying their payments. And I said, and look, we have only $300 million, and there are oil payments which have to be made, the debt servicing has to be paid, we will be completely broke. And I said to them that when is the payment due? They said Monday morning. I said Friday afternoon we should make the payment. And that provided a signal to the whole wide world international community that here is a country which is almost bankrupt as far as the foreign exchange reserves are concerned, but it did not renege on its contractual obligation. That to me is the most important signal you can give, that even in dire times, in difficult times, you are fulfilling your promises and obligations. And for a country, that is a big confidence boosting. And after that, the money started coming into Pakistan, despite the fact that we didn't have September 11 by that time, but the money started coming into Pakistan because the foreigners were quite convinced that their money is safe, it can be repatriated whenever they require. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the three major ingredients for an investor's choice are. And if we are able to pull these together, I'm quite sure that investment will flow in just like water. But if you do not have these three ingredients in place, then there are 100 countries in the world, and even Pakistani investors are quite free to go and invest in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or Nepal. Why should they invest in Pakistan if they are getting much higher returns there and they are quite safe, secure as far as investors are concerned? Today's globalized world, we have to realize that this is a borderless universe. The opportunities are manifold. And therefore, my message to all those who are concerned about attracting investment is that if we try to create that situation where there is macroeconomic stability, political stability, a very friendly, enabling environment in which business can be done, there is no hassle factor, there is no harassment by taxation, there is no hurdles created in acquiring a piece of land. I know of cases where the federal government has approved the project